Okay, hello. What is up, guys? My week 4. Hello. This is our lesson for our year 7, week 4, right? The last lesson of this year. Okay, so by the time you're watching this video, you must be in the middle of your holiday, right? So I won't make this video very long, although our lesson is usually like 1 hour. So I'm just gonna make it, half an hour. It will be a very compact lesson. So please have the patience to watch them all, please. Right? Even if you don't have, you can skip this to the exercise part and at least write down answers. So that you don't uh you don't just leave this part empty. Right. Anyway, so let's talk about our okay. I think we've mentioned our joint, last week already, right, in our week 3 lesson. So we did learn what is your fixed joint and your movable joint. Okay, like in your head here, your skull here, this is the fixed joint, okay, the joint that is not movable. And of course, you have movable joint, and in this case, you have your hinge joint and your ball and socket joint. Hinge joint being your elbow, because this can only move in one plane. Okay, it can move one side, and then ball and socket, this is like your shoulder, very flexible. You can move it anywhere you want. All right, so they have the flexibility to move. All right, and if you have flexibility, you will lose stability. That means your shoulder, yes, they're very flexible, but they're also very easy to dislocate. Whereas your elbow is different. They are not very flexible, so they are more stable. They are less likely to dislocate. So vice versa. Right. Anyway, next you have your joint. Okay, I'm just gonna roughly talk through this. You have your synovial membrane. Okay, you have your, oh, sorry, this is the synovial membrane here. So this is your cartilage, okay, your 软骨, the thing that cushions your joint. And you have the liquid here, we call it your synovial fluid, okay, that lubricates your joint. All right, and then to stabilize your joint, you have two rubber band tying them together. We call it your ligament. Okay, so these two, your cartilage and the synovial fluid, their job is to lubricate the joint. So as you get older, like I said in week 3, last week's lesson, if you get older, you will have more wear and tear in these, your cartilage and the synovial fluid. Your joint will start to wear off. You will start to get arthritis. Okay, arthritis is 关节炎, the swelling of any joint. Okay, because you injure yourself, okay, or you just become older. Okay, that's part of life. Okay, so we mentioned this last week already. Okay, let's talk about muscle, right? Let's talk about muscle. So, as we learn in this system part, we know that muscles, they produce movement, right? Muscles, they produce movement. So how do they produce movement? They produce movement by pulling on the bones. All right, think of a marionette. Okay, think of a puppet. You know what's a marionette? Do you know what is a puppet? A marionette or or puppet? That means they easy. Okay, as you pull on the strings, you pull on the. Okay, imagine the doll is your bone, your skeleton. When you pull on the string, you pull on the doll. So which is the same thing. So your muscles, they are your strings. All right, they are like your ropes, 好像绳子这样拉你的骨头. So they are like your ropes. All right, and then muscles, they are attached to bones by a strong and elastic fiber called tendon. All right, so you see, okay, let's say this is your muscle. Okay, this is the bicep. Okay, as most of you already know. So your bicep, how do they pull on this bone? They have a middle guy here called a tendon, right? They call this a tendon. So what is a tendon? Okay, a tendon is the thing that joins your muscle to your bone. And when your muscle pulls, your muscle will pull on the tendon, and your tendon will pull on the bone, and you can move your bone, right? That means if you happen to break this tendon, your muscle will not function. Okay, so they're very important. Your tendons, they're very important. So how do any muscle work? So when muscles, they contract, they produce a pulling force, right? Here's the thing, guys. Muscles, they can only pull. They are exactly like strings. You can pull a string, you cannot push a string, right? So there you go. And of course, this pulling force is transmitted to the bones through the tendon. So like I said, when I pull on the tendon pulls on the bone. All right. So think of it this way. Think of it this way. If I have a car A, let's say this is car A, I have a broken car B. I want to pull car B. You know what's a tow truck, right? Let's say your dad has his car broken down. He needs to order a tow truck and to pull his car away. So how do they pull the car? They need to attach a rope to the car, right? So this middle rope is like a tendon, right? Imagine car A, if car A pulls, this car A will pull on this tendon and tendon will pull on car B. It's the same concept. So car A is like the muscle, this string is like the tendon, and car B is like the bone. So when A pulls on B, the function of the middle guy, which is the rope, is to transfer the force to B， 把那个拉力从 A 带给去 B 上，你的 B 就可以拉得动了咯。So this is how they work, right? So this is how your tendon works. Okay, so here's a fun fact, guys. Here's a fun fact. If you train your muscle too strong, okay, if you train your muscle too strong and you exert such a strong force that your tendon is not strong enough to support, your tendon will break. Okay, your tendon will snap into half, and now you have to go for surgery and they will reattach your muscle back to the tendon. Okay, fun fact there. All right, so what is antagonistic muscle? As I said, I didn't say this before. Okay, I said, what is antagonistic? Okay, antagonistic means opposing. Okay, opposing. 华语我们叫敌对。OK， 如果你跟一个人哦，你们是死对头啊，你们就是 antagonistic, right? If let's say your nemesis, okay, a guy that you don't like in school, so you guys are like the opposing force. Okay, he opposes you every time, you oppose him every time also. So that's what I call antagonistic. So what are antagonistic muscle? That means they are a pair of muscles, right? Listen, they are a pair of muscles that work in opposite direction. Okay, the best example I can give is your bicep and your tricep, right? Your arm. You see, this is your arm muscle. This is the bicep. This is the tricep. You see, why are they antagonistic? Because they kind of oppose each other. When the bicep pulls, the tricep will relax, right? You pull, I relax. And when the tricep pull, the bicep will relax. Okay, when I pull, you relax. So we are kind of, can you see this? We are kind of opposing each other. 我跟你是敌对的，你做什么我就跟你相反。So we are kind of opposing each other. So muscles can contract and produce a pulling force, but not a pushing force. Like I said, muscle is like a rope, 好像绳子这样，你可以拉，你不可以推。You cannot push a rope. So therefore, to produce an opposing movement, another muscle pulls from the other side. So I always need a pair. Okay, I always need a pair. So the pair is called antagonistic muscle. You see the highlight here. Okay, they're very important. Okay, because you need to know them. So the biceps and the triceps are antagonistic muscle pairs. All right, so you see they're in pair. And then you see to bend the arm, the bicep contracts. Okay, this is my main point. You see my bicep. How do you know the bicep contracts? You see, when you contract a muscle, it gets thicker. Okay, this is flexing lah. Okay, when you flex your muscle, okay, you're flexing your tricep here, your bicep here, and then now your tricep will relax. Is it mentioned? Oh yeah, there. See, the tricep relaxes. So this bicep will pull on this tendon, and this tendon will pull on the bone. Now your arm will bend. Right, and this motion we call it flexion. Okay, we call it flexion. That's why they say flexing lah. Okay, why are you flexing? Okay, actually, in terms of muscles, flexing is to shorten a muscle. Okay, when you close a joint, it's called flexion. Right, and then the opposite. Okay, the opposite. When you straighten the arm, the tricep contracts. Now, can you see the tricep gets bigger? The tricep gets bigger. So when you contract a tricep, now the tricep gets bigger. Now the bicep relax. Now the bicep relax. So now your joint opens. This is what we call an extension of the joint. Okay, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Okay, same goes to your chest muscle. When you flex your chest muscle, you close your arm. When you extend your this when you lengthen your chest muscle. Right, so muscles, they all work the same way, right? They work the same way, and Okay, let's move on before I tell you about muscle training. Okay, so the muscles that we can move willingly are called skeletal muscle, right? As I said, what is skeletal? Skeletal is a bone, right? So muscles that are attached to the bones, you can control them. All right, you can move them consciously. So we call it skeletal muscle. All right, these muscles are the muscles you can train in the gym. All right, you want to train your, okay, let's say for example, this is what we call a deltoid muscle. Deltoid is your shoulder, right? I mean, guys, we want broader shoulders, okay? So you can train this muscle, okay, by lifting dumbbells, right? You can train your chest muscle, your abs muscle, your back muscle. Your back muscle has the trap muscle, you have the lats muscle, okay, and then you have your arms, you have your bicep and tricep, and you have your legs, you have your quadricep and bicep, you have your calf muscle. All these muscles, they can be trained. All right, and then okay, so about resistance training, about strength training, you might say, sir, how do I get bigger muscles? Right, you see, getting a bigger muscle, okay, making your muscles bigger, it's just a very simple concept. You lift a weight that tears your muscle, okay, not to a point that it fully tears. You're creating micro tear in the muscle. Okay, what do I mean? Let's say now you lift a 5 kilo dumbbell, right? You just keep lifting it, lifting it, lifting it, lifting it. So after should be lah, if the weight is sufficiently heavy, challenging, 也就是那个 weight 对你来讲是有点重的 you should feel at the 10th rep, you okay, when you do one time, it's called a rep, okay, a repetition. When you do like 10 to 15 reps, you should start to feel your muscle. There's this sore feeling, 那个很酸的感觉. That's when you tear your muscle. You're creating micro tear. So now your muscles have all these tiny tear. Okay, 你再把你的 muscle 小小的撕烂掉. So what happens now? Okay, now you're sore, right? So what do? You rest. When you rest for 1 or 2 days, protein will start coming in. Okay, your muscle is made from protein. Okay, let's say chicken, milk, eggs. Okay, they will come in and they will repair your muscle. All right, and your muscle is very smart. Your muscle thinks that since you managed to tear this muscle this time, why don't I make it stronger? So your muscle will build a stronger fiber, a bigger fiber. Now your muscle gets stronger. All right, so what do you do next? Next time you lift more reps. Maybe you train for 15 reps. Okay, or maybe you go up in weight. Last time you trained 5 kilos, now you train 7.5 kilos. You make it more challenging. So it's a repetitive process. You tear off your muscle, you let it recover, you use something heavier to tear it off again, and then you recover again. Tear off, recover, tear off, recover, tear off, recover. Years and years of doing this. This is how you make a muscle big. All right, this is how bodybuilding works. This is how resistance training works. And as you keep doing this, your muscle will get bigger and stronger. All right, it's just a very simple concept. You see, the concept is the same. All right, the concept is the same. If you want your arms to be bigger, you train your arm muscle. You want your deltoid muscle to be bigger, you train your deltoid muscle. You want your chest muscle to be bigger, you get the point, right? You just keep training the muscle you want it to be bigger. So, and then there are 2 other types of muscle. Okay, the muscles that we don't really care, but not to say they're not important, they're still very important as well. So number 1, you have your smooth muscle. Okay, let me highlight the skeletal muscle first. Then you have your smooth muscle. Okay, these are involuntary muscles, muscles that you cannot control. Okay, you cannot control them consciously, like those in your digestive system. For example, your stomach. Your stomach is full of muscle. Okay, that's why when you're hungry, it starts churning food. You hear the sound. Okay, so can you control your muscle? Can you control your stomach? Can you ask your stomach, okay, please don't churn? It'll be really embarrassing because you create that hungry sound. I know you cannot, right? It's like farting. Can you control your fart? No, you can't. I mean, you can slow it down, but you certainly cannot control your fart because these muscles that we cannot control them, right? And of course, the last but not least, and also the most important muscle, I would say, this is your cardiac muscle. When you see the word cardiac, this is something to do with the heart. This is only found in one place, that is your heart, right? Cardiac muscles of the heart contracts and relaxes to pump blood around body. You see, when you injured one muscle, okay, your skeletal muscle or your smooth muscle, it's not big of a deal. But if you injured your heart muscle, well, that is something serious, right? Because this muscle, if it stops pumping, then you are dead, right? And similarly to your skeletal muscle, you can also train this cardiac muscle. How? By going to the gym, but not doing lifting weights, by cardioing. You know what's cardiovascular exercise? You know it's cardiovascular exercise? That means anything that makes you breathe heavily. Jogging, cycling, swimming, you name it, all right? So that's your cardio. So this is why, like for example, me, I go to the gym. First, I train the weights. I first lift weight to train my skeletal muscle. Then I go for cardio. Okay, I go on the treadmill and I jog for 30 minutes. I train my heart muscle. So if you ask me, sir, which muscle is more important? Well, to be fair, cardio is more important. But why train one when you can train both, right? Because when you train both, you make yourself healthy as well. Okay, so do train your muscles, guys. Do train your muscles. The more you train your muscle, the stronger they become, and the longer they will last. All right. How you might say, sir, how do some people live up to 80 or 90? Well, that's because they keep themselves active. All right. By active, I mean they walk like 6,000 steps per day. Not by sitting around, being a couch potato, watching TV, being sedentary. No, 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 no. Okay, you don't live a long life being sedentary. Have you seen someone who lived into their 70s by sitting on a couch? Right? Have you seen someone 70 or 80 that is overweight? No, you don't. Right? I mean, yeah lah, body positivity and all lah. Right? They say, some people, they say, sir, obese people can be attractive too. Well, you tell me. All right? It's not, okay? It's not. It's not cool to be obese, right? I mean, I don't really agree on this body positivity stuff lah, right? So go exercise, right? Go exercise. Your body will thank you. You will live a longer, not to mention a more quality life. All right. Anyway, you know, going out of topic here. Right. Anyway, so anyway, this studying human body part, I'm not gonna pay too much attention to this, right? Because in medicine we have different fields, right? To study the human body, we have different fields. We have anatomy. Anatomy, as you know, we cut the body and we study what's inside. So that's anatomy. And then you have physiology. Physiology is study how the body works. All right. This is to study the part, and this is to study the process. Right? I mean, being a doctor, you study both, right? You need to know what's the name of this part and what does it do. What is this part? Anatomy basically means what is this part. Physiology basically means what does it do. All right, it's like being a mechanic. You need to know what part this is, and you need to know how do they work. All right, and of course, and then you have surgery, you have psychology. I'm not going to go into that, right? So you can just basically read this yourself. Nothing much here. Right, so as I said, I'm going to keep my lesson as simple as possible today. All right, so let's go to our exercise. Let's finish this, and that will be it for this lesson. All right, so anyway, this is a person's leg. Right, so label these bones. Okay, so you know what? It's not going to come out in your exam, but here goes. Your femur is here. Your femur is here. This is the biggest bone of your body. Okay, the biggest bone of your body. And of course, where is your pelvis? Pelvis is your hip. So girls have bigger pelvis. That's why girls have bigger butts, right? I mean, guys, here's the thing. When we say girls have bigger butts, this is not because of hams up things. No. Girls have bigger butts because they need to get pregnant. So a girl will have a bigger butt than you. Putting obesity, body fats aside, right? If you just look at the bone, a girl will have a bigger butt than you, right? Unless you want to give birth. But unfortunately, as a guy, we can't give birth, so that's why you don't have a big pelvis. Okay, guys have broad shoulder instead. Okay, guys have broad shoulder and narrow hips. Girls is the opposite. They have narrow shoulder and have broad hips. Can you see this opposite thing? Right, so if you look at the anatomy of men and women, it's actually quite fascinating. We just somehow we are the same, but somehow we are the polar opposite. Okay, if I have the time, I'll talk more about this. Okay, so what is your tibia? Tibia is this. Tibia is this thing. Sorry, tibia is this thing. This is what we call your calf bone lah. Okay, your calf bone, and this behind one is called your fibula. Okay, so what kind of joint is the knee joint? Knee joint is your hinge joint. Okay, because they can only move in one plane, right? If you can move your knee on the other way, you dislocated your leg, okay, your knee. So label a ball and socket joint. So your ball and socket joint is here. Just gonna write B and S here. So this is your hip, right? So your hip is also when you kick your leg up and you rotate your leg, you can kind of rotate it, isn't it? Because this is a ball and socket, just like your shoulder. Right? So label a ball and socket joint. Look carefully at the diagram. What will happen at the knee joint when muscle A contracts? Okay, so when A contracts, B will relax. Okay, and this joint will close. This is flexion. Okay, this is flexing, as we all know. So you can say the joint closes, or you can say flexes. You flex your joint, that means you close your joint. You extend your joint, that means you open the joint. So what will happen at the knee joint when muscle B contracts? When muscle B contracts, now your joint will extend. Okay, the joint extends. You open further. So F, which of this pair of muscle are antagonistic pair? Underline the two correct answer. So antagonistic pair would be your CD or your AB. Okay, CD and AB. Like I said, antagonistic means they are opposing. They are direct opposite of each other. So next, this is your knee joint. What is X? Okay, what is X? I think X should be pointing to this. Sorry. Yeah, this part, the white color part at the end of the bone. So what is it called? This is your cartilage. Okay, 软骨, your cartilage. Like I say, when you eat chicken wing, you break it, you break your chicken wing, you see that white color, smooth part at the end, right? So that's your cartilage. So why is X important? This is to reduce friction of the joint, to reduce friction, to absorb shock. I would accept absorb shock. Okay, so there are two answers you can write here. So there are slippery liquid around X. What is this liquid? This is your synovial fluid. Right, like I said, when you crack your knuckle, okay, you are popping the bubble inside. So D, footballers have a high risk of developing disease. Why? When they have this disease, their movement becomes very painful as the X wears away and fluid X disappear. What is why? This is what we call your arthritis. Okay, arthritis. So athletes, they get this easier because they are moving more. So as you move more, you get more wear and tear of your joint. Right? So this is why Lee Chong-wei, he retired at 30 something. I mean, if you look at all sports, if you can, very seldomly you will play into your 40s. Very seldomly. I mean, especially like very high impact sports like football, right? I mean, you can play until you are like 39, you are already freaking impressive. Like you see, okay, like for example, Messi. Messi is 35, okay, if you watch World Cup. He played every single freaking match. Right? You must say, then so how can he do it? That's why he's the best. Right? Some players at 30 something they already play like shit. They don't have the stamina. They are just outrun by their opponents. Right? How can you let's say you're 30 something, how can you compete with someone that's like what 20, like 15 years younger than you? Their joint has 15-year less wear and tear. Right? It's like using a 15-year-old car and racing against a new car. You're going to lose. I mean, not necessarily lah, but you get the point, right? So you're going to get this, okay? You're going to get this. Maybe normal people like us, we get it at like what, 50 or 60, but athletes, they get it like 30 something, 40. Right? That's just part of the career. So next, this is a bending arm. So what is your X, Y, and Z? As I said, your X is your bicep. Y is your tricep, and Z is your tendon. Okay, so X and Y, they're antagonistic muscle. What does it mean? Okay, they have opposing actions. Like I said, they always oppose each other. So explain how human bends their arm involving X and Y. So how do you bend your arm? So your bicep has to contract, X contracts, and your Y relaxes. And your Y will just go, ooh. This one will relax. Oh, sorry. They relax and this contracts. So what's the function of Z? What's the function of your tendon? Is to connect your muscle to bone. Is to connect muscle. Since this is the bicep, okay, this is the bicep tendon, right? So we have to say bicep, okay, to connect bicep to bones. Okay, connect bicep to bone. All right, or you can say to transmit force from bicep to bone. Yeah, sure. To transmit force, to transfer force. Anything goes. Somewhere along the line of this. Okay, so I believe that's it for our week 4 video this time. Okay, yes, it's a very short video. Okay, I mean, you guys are in your holiday. You should be in your holiday right now. So I don't think you have the mood to listen to me blab about human parts. All right, so I believe the next time I see you, okay, after this video would be in January. Okay, so I wish you again to have an awesome holiday. I shall see you again in January, okay, hopefully. Okay, so that's it for today. If you need to ask me anything, feel free to WhatsApp me or chat me up on Google Classroom. Okay, I'll be seeing you soon. All right, so take care, guys. I'll see you soon. See you and bye bye.